Good morning. Again, y'all know the deal. Gonna go take this walk, and then we're starting on the section titled Sumeria and the introduction to the Simon Necronomicon. All that kind of stuff. You're okay, little guy. You're okay.
Sorry,
Oh, you're good.
on a leash right now.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're a little dog, huh? Yeah, it's nice to meet you, man. Yeah, the beauty out here is crazy, man. And this is like, keep in mind, all this shit's dead too, you know? Imagine if this shit were actually green and alive. You have flowers everywhere. Straight up Garden of Eden. Seriously. What's up, y'all? Drop a comment, drop your name. Something interesting, I don't know. Or don't. I guess I don't care either way. Yeah, say something interesting, don't say something interesting. Honestly, I really don't care. The point of these lives is more so to have an archive of clips and videos and information that I can go back through to reference. I mean, don't get me wrong, I hope that all this shit blows up, you know what I mean? But even if it doesn't, I don't particularly, that's not really the point of this. Obviously, I'm taking advantage of the beautiful imagery I have out here to reel people in. But then once we get to this bench, we're starting on Sumerian, man. So if you're not into the occult or the Anunnaki, Sumerian mythology, Thelema, Aleister Crowley, H.P. Lovecraft, Lovecraftian mythos, Cthulhu, etc., I'd probably recommend you leave. Or if you're just here for the nature, that's cool too. Just stay and enjoy the view, I guess. What's up, Oreo? How's your day, brother? Steve, message retracted. What did you say, Steve? I didn't even see what you said, dog. My day's going pretty good, Oreo. It just started. I woke up, I had my cup of tea, took my dog out for a walk, and then trying to just continue this series. I mean, we're gonna go book by book. Now I'm just taking my second walk. Oh, okay. Bye, Steve. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Oreo. Yeah, no, it's going pretty good though. Honestly, it's just starting. So we're just gonna get to this memorial bench where this kid drowned to death. Rest in peace. And we're going to continue on this book. Yeah, I'm wondering maybe it got deleted because he left. Maybe when you leave it retracts them. I don't know. I don't know. But are you a new viewer, Oreo, or have you been here before? Yeah, rest in peace to homie Steve, dog. We only knew him for a couple seconds, but he was one of the best. He was one of the best. Hey, shout out. Thanks, Oreo. I don't know how you stumbled upon me. I assume probably just going through random lives and stuff, so I don't know if I'll really be up your alley, but I guess we're gonna find out. Go check out the channel, man. Well, what are you interested? What do you, like, give me your top 3 categories that you vibe with. What's up, Miguel? Top fans, hey, gang. #1 top fan, thank you, what a god. Damn, we already got 9 viewers and 3 likes. More than I've had in... Hey, we're growing. We're growing, that's for sure. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool if you're into all that shit. Or, I mean, I got plenty of stuff. Trip reports. Are you into any specific mythologies, or... My first is just chilling. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Morning. Yeah, where are you from, Oreo? You from out here, or not out here? You don't even know where I'm at. My bad. I'm in Colorado right now. Where are you at? Look, we got the private. Well, you probably can't see the view from here, but there's a beautiful private lake right there. The wind blowing. Alright, it's getting hot as fuck in this leather jacket, guys. I'll take this shit off, bro. East Tennessee, huh? Wow. I bet you got a pretty accent. I bet you got a pretty accent. My dentist assistant's from Tennessee. She's fine as hell. She's fine as hell. My bad. All right, guys. As always, this is the view. This is a memorial bench. Rest in peace to Matthew Daniel Josie. He drowned in this, you can't see it, but there's a little creek that goes through all this. Your accent sounds weird on camera. Maybe to you, I'm sure it does. But yeah, rest in peace this guy, man. Memorial to him. But all right, time for the use. Let's get comfortable, guys. I had another cup of tea when I got home after I took my dog home. So, should be good. Rest in peace, man. Seriously, bro. Yeah, look, this is the amulet I made out of metal the other day. It's like the first amulet from the Simon Necronomicon. I'll show you real quick. There it is. So I fucked it up, obviously. Alright, well, I'll be back later. Alright, Oreo, I'll catch you later, dog. Thanks for talking, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the view and thanks for the sub, brother. Or sister, whoever, I don't know. But yeah, look. That's the first amulet. I fucked it up, obviously. I had all the lines continue through, but whatever, it's fine. Alright. But let's continue where we left off. We're in the introduction, and we are at the section titled Samaria on page XVII, which I believe translates to page 17 in Roman numerals. I'm not sure, but all right. Samaria. that a reclusive author of short stories who lived in a quiet neighborhood in New England, and the manic, infamous master magician who called the world his home, should have somehow met in the sandy wastes of some forgotten civilization seems incredible. That they should both have become prophets and forerunners of a new aeon of man's history is equally, if not more, unbelievable. Yet, with H.P. Lovecraft and Aleister Crowley, the unbelievable was a commonplace of life. These two men, both acclaimed as geniuses by their followers and admirers, and who never actually met, stretched their legs across the world, and in the 7 league boots of the mind they did meet, and on common soil, Sumeria. The leftist look, rest in, this nigga said, oh, gross, gross. Top or bottom? The left, why y'all all hating on me, dog? Y'all are all fucking haters, dude. Come in my live to call me a leftist and ask if I'm gay. The fuck, bro? Y'all are haters. Y'all are mad, bro. Alright. Sumeria is the name given to a once flourishing civilization that existed in what is now known as Iraq, in the area called by the Greeks Mesopotamia, and by the Arabs as simply the island, for it existed between 2 rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, which run down from the mountains to the Persian Gulf. This is the site of the fabled city of Babylon, as well as of Ur of the Chaldees and Kish, with Nineveh far to the north. Each of the 7 principal cities of Sumeria was ruled by a different deity, who was worshipped in the strange, non-Semitic language of the Sumerians, a language which has been closely allied to that of the Aryan race, having in fact many words identical to that of Sanskrit, and it is said to Chinese. No, you're right, Miguel. You're a G. You don't be hating. I appreciate you. Got me like a rock. I got you bricked up right now, Casey Derula. You bricked up right now, dog? Shit. We'll see a picture. Go crazy. For no one knows where the Sumerians came from, and they vanished just as mysteriously as they disappeared, after the Assyrian invasions which decimated their culture, yet provided the Assyrians with much of their mythology and religion, so much so that Sumeria became the official language of the state church, much as Latin is today of the Roman Catholic Church. They had a list of their kings before the flood, which event they carefully chronicled, as did many other ancient civilizations around the world. It is believed that they had a sophisticated system of astronomy and astrology, as well as an equally sophisticated religious ritual magic, as well as history. This all begins at Sumer for the Western world, for it is here in the sand buried cuneiform tablets that recorded an age, that the first creation epic is found, the first exorcism, the first ritual invocations of planetary deities, the first dark summonings of evil powers, and, ironically, the first burnings of people the anthropologists call witches. Why are you reading outside like a gay hipster? Oh, God, man. Hey, boy, the fuck you reading? That's Satan's book? Play free. You guys are fucking... It's definitely a demonic book. I wouldn't recommend you practice it or anything. As I've said before, guys, I'm not saying that you should practice any of this shit. Yeah, you're funny, Mom. My mom. You're hilarious. No, I mean, you're not wrong, but that's kind of what I'm going for. Like, think about the vibe, right? I got all this nature around me. I'm looking sexy as hell. I got a book on. I mean, that's the vibe, dog. That's the vibe. You feel me, bro? Come on. Yeah. But yeah, like, I wouldn't recommend you practice any of this. Like I said, it's like Sun Tzu says, in order to defeat the enemy, you must know the enemy. So if you want to defeat the devil, you have to know how he thinks and how he works. And that's why I believe it's important to study the occult, so that when they start trying to do shit like that, you know what they're doing and you can put an end to it. Hey, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, Mom. My mom. You a G, dog. All right. Thanks, brother. You too, man. You too. You go around, go troll some more people, go rage bait. I support it fully. I love the rage bait. I'm a rage baiter as well, dog. All right. Lovecraft's mythos deals with what are known as chthonic deities. That is, underworld gods and goddesses much like the Leviathan of the Old Testament. The pronunciation of chthonic is chthonic, which explains Lovecraft's famous Miskatonic River and Miskatonic University. Not to mention the chief deity of his pantheon, Cthulhu, a sea monster who lies not dead but dreaming below the world, an ancient one and supposed enemy of mankind and the intelligent race. Cthulhu is accompanied by an assortment of other grotesqueries, such as Azathoth and Shub-Niggurath. It is of extreme importance to occult scholars that many of these deities had actual counterparts, at least in name, to deities of the Sumerian tradition. That same tradition that the magus Aleister Crowley deemed it so necessary to rediscover. The underworld in ancient Sumer was known by many names, among them Absu, or the Abyss, sometimes as Nar Mataru, the great underworld ocean, and also as Kutha, or Kutu, as it is called in the Enuma Elish, the creation epic of the Sumerians. The phonetic similarity between Kutha and Kutu and Chthonic, as well as Cthulhu, is striking. Judging by a Sumerian grammar at hand, the word Cthulhu or Cthulhu, Lovecraft's Cthulhu Sumerianized, would mean the man of Kutu, the man of the underworld, Satan or Shaitan, as he is known to the Yazidis, whom Crowley considered to be the remnants of the Sumerian tradition. The list of similarities, both between Lovecraft's creations and the Sumerian gods, as well as Crowley's magic, can go on nearly indefinitely and in depth, for which there is no space here at the present. An exhaustive examination of Crowley's occultism in light of recent findings concerning Sumeria and the exegesis of Lovecraft's stories is presently in preparation and is hoped to be available shortly. Until that time, a few examples should suffice. Although a list is appended hereto containing various entities and concepts of Lovecraft, Crowley, and Sumeria cross-referenced, it will do to show how the editor found the relationships to be valid and even startling. Azathoth is frequently mentioned in the grim pages of the Cthulhu mythos, and appears in the Necronomicon as Azeg-Thoth, a combination of two words, the first Sumerian and the second Coptic, which gives us a clue as to its identity. Azag is Sumerian. It means enchanter or magician. Thoth in Coptic is the name given to the Egyptian god of magic and wisdom, Tehuti, who was evoked by both the Golden Dawn and by Crowley himself, and was known to the Greeks as Hermes, from whence we get the word hermetic. Azag-Thoth is, therefore, a lord of magicians, but of the black magicians, or the sorcerers of the other side. I was wondering the same thing, Joe. Why is my mom here? And if you scroll up, why is she talking shit? Why is she a hate? Nah. My mom actually ended up being a real cool dude. Or a girl. I don't really know. I don't care. There is a seeming reference to Shub-Niggurath in the Necronomicon, in the name of a Sumerian deity, the answerer of prayers called Ishni-Garab. The word Shub is to be found in the Sumerian language in reference to the rite of exorcism, one of which is called Nam Shub, and what the combination
which is called Nam Shub and means the throwing. It is, however, as yet unclear as to what the combination Shub in Ish-Nigoroth, Shub-Nigoroth, might actually mean. There was a battle between the forces of light and darkness, so called, that took place long before man was created, before even the cosmos as we know it existed. It is described fully in the Enuma Elish and in the bastardized version found in the Necronomicon, and involved the Ancient Ones, led by the serpent Mumu Tiamat and her male counterpart Absu, against the elder gods, called such in the end, led by the warrior Marduk, son of the sea god Enki, lord of magicians of this side, or what could be called white magicians. Although close examination of the myths of ancient times makes one pause before attempting to judge which of the two warring factions was good or evil, Marduk won this battle, in much the same way that the later St. George and St. Michael would defeat the serpent again. The cosmos was created from the body of the slain serpent, and man was created from the blood of the slain commander of the ancient army, Kingu, thereby making man a descendant of the blood of the enemy, as well as the breath of the elder gods, a close parallel to the sons of God and daughters of men referenced in the Old Testament. Yet, although the identity of the victor is clear, there were and are certain persons and organizations that dared side with the vanquished, believing the ancient ones to be a source of tremendous and most unbelievable power. Worship of the ancient ones in history. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are skillful to rouse Leviathan. Job chapter 3, verse 8. Haha! What's up, Face? Shout out, dog. I don't know if you're still here, if you're just... Wow, it doesn't look as beautiful as I would wish to show you right now. Obviously, everything's dead. But hey, thanks for popping in, Face. Always good hearing from you, brother. I don't know if you want to stay. We're on that devil shit. We're on that devil shit right now. I'm just playing, dog. I'm just playing. All right. From the Bible, Job chapter 3, verse 8. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are skillful to rouse Leviathan. S.H. Hook, in his excellent Middle Eastern mythology, tells us that the Leviathan mentioned in Job of the Bible and elsewhere in the Old Testament is the Hebrew name given to the serpent Tiamat, and reveals that there was in existence either a cult or scattered individuals who worshipped or called up the serpent of the sea or abyss. Indeed, the Hebrew word Tehom, which the majority of scholars take to be a survival of the name of the chaos dragon Tiamat in the Hebrew text. It is this Tiamat or Leviathan that is identified closely with Cthulhu or Cthulhu within the pages of the Necronomicon, although both names are mentioned independently of each other, indicating that somehow Cthulhu is the male counterpart of Tiamat, similar to Absu. This monster is well known to cult worship all over the world. In China, however, there is an interesting twist. Far from being considered a completely hostile creature, dedicated to the erasure of mankind from the pages of existence, the dragon is given a place of preeminence, and one does not hear of a Chinese angel or saint striving to slay the dragon, but rather to cultivate it. The Chinese system of geomancy, feng shui, pronounced feng shui, is the science of understanding the dragon currents which exist beneath the earth. These same telluric energies that are distilled in such places as Chartres Cathedral in France, Glastonbury Tor in England, and the ziggurats of Mesopotamia. In both the European and Chinese cultures, the dragon or serpent is said to reside somewhere below the earth. It is a powerful force, a magical force, which is identified with mastery over the created world. It is also a power that can be summoned by the few and not the many. all other cultures around the world have a version of the Leviathan. That is very true. If you dive deep into all mythologies, you'll find they're all telling the same exact story. And that's why I believe you should study all of them, you know what I mean? Study all of them, put the pieces together, and you'll see the common denominator between all stories. It's the Prisca Theologia, as Hermes Trismegistus would call it, the prime unified religion. The original religion we had way back at the dawn of humanity, before we were split at the Tower of Babel. They called it the Prisca Theologia, the original religion. However, in China, there did not seem to be a backlash of fear or resentment against this force, as was known in Europe and Palestine. And the symbol of might and kingship in China is still the dragon. In the West, the conjuration, cultivation, or worship of this power was strenuously opposed with the advent of the solar monotheistic religions, and those who clung to the old ways were effectively extinguished. The wholesale slaughter of those called witches during the Inquisition is an example of this, as well as the solemn and twisted, that is to say, purposeless and unenlightened celibacy that the Church espoused. For the organ of Wilhelm Reich is just as much Leviathan as the Kundalini of the Tantric adepts, and the power raised by the witches. It has always, at least in the past 2,000 years, been associated with occultism and essentially with rites of evil magic, or the forbidden magic of the enemy and of Satan. And the twisting, sacred spiral formed by the serpent of the caduceus and by the spinning of the galaxies is also the same Leviathan as the spiral of the biologist's code of life, DNA, the goddess of the witches. Okay, I might read until... Alright, guys. I'm going to read a couple more pages, and then I'm going to end this live. I usually end it at about 30 minutes in. Maybe I'll continue. But, just so you're aware. The goddess of the witches. The current revival of the cult called Wicca is a manifestation of the ancient secret societies that thought to tap into this telluric occult force and use it to their own advantage, and to use it to the advantage of humanity, as was the original intent. The raising of the cone of power through circle dancing is probably the simplest method of attaining results in rousing Leviathan, and has been used by societies as diverse as the dervishes in the Middle East and the python dancers of Africa, not to mention the round dances that were familiar to the Gnostic Christians and the ones held every year in the past at Chartres. The witches of today, however, while acknowledging the importance of the male element of telluric power, generally prefer to give the greater honor to the female principle, personified as the goddess. The goddess has also been worshipped all over the world, and under many names, but is still essentially the same goddess. That Tiamat was undoubtedly female is to the point, and that the Chinese as well as the Sumerians perceived of two dragon currents, male and female, gives the researchers a more complex picture. The green dragon and the red dragon of the alchemists are thus identified as the positive and negative energies that comprise the cosmos of our perception, as manifest in the famous Chinese yin-yang symbol. But what of Inanna, the single planetary deity having a female manifestation among the Sumerians? She is invoked in the Necronomicon and identified as the vanquisher of death, for she descended into the underworld and defeated her sister, the goddess of the abyss, Queen Ereshkigal, possibly another name for Tiamat. Interestingly enough, the myth has many parallels with the Christian concept of Christ's death and resurrection, among which the crucifixion, Inanna was impaled on a stake as a corpse. The 3 days in the Sumerian Hades and the eventual resurrection are outstanding examples of how Sumerian mythology previewed the Christian religion by perhaps as many as 3,000 years, a fact that beautifully illustrates the cosmic and eternal nature of this myth. Therefore, the goddess of the witches has two distinct forms. The ancient one, goddess of the dragon-like telluric power, which is raised in magical rituals, and the elder goddess, defeater of death, who brings the promise of resurrection and rejuvenation to her followers, those who must reside for a time after death and between incarnations in what is called Summerland or Sumerland.
You look like JJ Wolf tennis player, looking good as always. What's up, Mark? Always good to see you, brother. Always appreciate the compliment. I'm gonna have to look up JJ Wolf, brother. I don't know what he looks like, but I believe you. He's got to be a good-looking motherfucker, I'll tell you that. All right, guys. Damn, Mark, I feel bad, brother. You just got here too, but you know I usually leave at about 35 minutes in, so I'm gonna read these last 4 pages. I'm gonna read the section entitled "The Horned Moon," and then we will end off right at the section entitled "The Devil," and that is where we will pick up tomorrow, guys, okay? All right. Another hallmark of the craft of the wise is evident within the Necronomicon, as well as in general Sumerian literature, and that is the arrangement of the cross-quarter days, which make up half of the craft's official pagan holidays. These occur on the eves of February 2nd, May 1st, August 1st, and November 1st, and are called Candlemas, Beltane, Lammas, and Samhain or Hallows, respectively. The name Lammas has a curious origin in the dunes at Sumer. It is no less that the name of one of the 4 mythological beasts of the astrological fixed signs, Lammas, being the name of the half-lion, half-man guardian of Leo, the sign governing most of August when the Feast of Lammas takes place, and Uster being that of Aquarius or February, Sed that of Taurus, May, and Natig that of Scorpio or November. I do not believe that this is a fantastic assumption, the Sumerian origin of the Feast of Lammas. Indeed, it seems just as valid as the idea of Idris Shah concerning craft etymology as presented in this book, The Sufis. It is also not far stretched to assume that these 4 beasts were known to the entire region of the Middle East, as they appear on the Sphinx in Egypt, and have become the symbols of the 4 evangelists of the Christian New Testament, an ironic and splendid result of the ignorance of the Greek religious historians concerning the ancient mysteries. Probably the most inconsistent concept the Sumerians possessed with reference to the craft is the naming of the goddess as a deity, not of the moon, as the craft would have put it, but of the planet Venus. The moon was governed by a male divinity, Nana, like Inanna, but minus the initial I, and was considered the father of the gods by the earliest Sumerian religion. It should be noted, however, that all of the planetary deities termed the zoned ones, or zonai in Greek, and indeed all of the Sumerian deities had both male and female manifestations, showing that the Sumerians definitely recognized a yin-yang composition of the universe. The male moon idea is, the editor is given to understand, common to the so-called Aryan mythologies. Why he moved his head like that? Well, Salmon, the reason I move my head like that when I talk is, well, it's hard to describe, but when you're reading aloud, like, I'm having to move my body so I can hit the certain high notes or low notes when I'm talking or make something sound like a question. It's hard to describe, but think about when someone's singing and they have to move and they're controlling their voice, and it's just a certain way you have to position your body in order to speak or make a certain noise, if that makes any sense to you. There is also evidence to show that every god and goddess also had both a good and an evil nature, and evil gods were banished in the exorcism formula of that civilization, as well as the lesser forms of demon. We're now entering the section titled
The horned moon. As mentioned, the god of the moon was called Nana by the Sumerians. By the later Sumerians and Assyrians, he was called Sin. In both cases, he was the father of the gods, of the planetary realm, the Zonai, and was depicted as wearing horns, a symbol familiar to the witches as representative of their god. The horn-shaped crown is illustrative of the crescent phases of the moon, and were symbolic of divinity in many cultures around the world, and were also thought to represent certain animals who were horned, and worshipped for their particular qualities, such as the goat and bull. They also represent sexual power. The fact that in ancient Sumeria and Egypt, horns were not solely representative of evil gods, but of many different deities, was used by the Christian church in their attempt to eradicate the pagan faiths. It was a simple enough symbol to identify with the author of evil, Satan, which the church depicted as a half-animal, half-human creature with horns, claws, and sometimes a tail. The church's use of the horns as a sort of archetype of evil is quite similar to the feelings many people have today with regards to the swastika used by the Nazis, a symbol which has become the archetype of an evil sigil in the West. The fact that it is highly valued mystical and religious symbol in the East is something that is not well known. What is worse, the image of the devil as perpetrated by the church is simultaneously representative of sexual energy and can be safely compared to Jung's archetype of the shadow, the psychic repository of a man's innate maleness, as the anima represents that part of a man which is feminine. Truly, the pictures painted of satanic ritual by the pious Catholic clergyman was one of sexual orgies and perversions, and the handbook of the Inquisitors, the Malleus Maleficarum, which has been responsible for the deaths of many more people than even Hitler's Mein Kampf, is full of detailed sexual imagery and reveals the nature of the souls of the monks who wrote it, rather than of the innocents it was used to massacre. Eventually, Satanism, Protestantism, and Judaism were inextricably woven together to form a patchwork quilt of evil that the church attempted to destroy during the Middle Ages with fire and sword. As a matter of fact, a certain type of devil did exist during those times, but, ironically, the acolytes of hell were never usually brought to trial. Something which stems from the fact that many of those who celebrated and attended the infamous black masses of the period were Roman Catholic clergymen, many of whom had been pressed into his service at a young age by their parents, who wished to see their sons brought up well-fed and educated in those uncertain times, where the church was the sole power and refuge. The frustration at being condemned to a life that demanded the abandonment of society and a normal life led many priests to express their hostilities through the office of the demon, the Black Mass. Often, while this was also a means of political demonstration, as the church controlled virtually all the political life of the period, in a way, as though in a test tube at a philosophical laboratory, Aleister Crowley was brought up under similar conditions, although very far removed in time from the days of the church's immense temporal power. Coming from a fanatically religious Christian family, and suddenly freed upon the neighborhood of Cambridge, Crowley did, in a sense, turn Satanist. He identified strongly with the underdog, politically as well as spiritually, and came eventually to take the name of the beast as his own, and expound a philosophy that he hoped would rip apart the worn tapestry of the established moral Christian atmosphere of Victorian England, and expose it for what it really was, a carpet made of many ingenious threads and not God or eternal happiness at all, only Nat. Therefore, it seemed almost logical that he should seek in the defeated, old religions of the world for that basis of his new philosophy, and some say his new religion. He raised the female aspect back up to one of equality with the male, as it was in the rites of Egypt and of Eleusis. Our Lady Babylon, his spelling, became a theme of many of his magical writings, and he received his credo, the Book of the Law, through a woman, his wife Rose Kelly. The lunar element, as well as the Venusian, are certainly accessible in his works. It has even been said in occult circles that he had a hand in putting together the grim war of one Gerald Gardner, founder of a contemporary witchcraft movement called the Book of Shadows. The moon has an extremely important, indeed indispensable role in the tantric sex magic rites that so preoccupied Crowley and the OTO. There can be no true magic without woman nor without man, and in the symbolic language of the occult, there can be no sun without the moon. In alchemy, ceremonial magic, and witchcraft, the formula is the same, for they all deal with identical properties. Whether they are called the sun and moon of the elixir vitae, the male and female participants in a rite of Indian or Chinese tantricism, or the shadow and anima of Jungian depth psychology. For many years, the moon remained the prime deity of the Sumerians, constituting the essential personam of a religious and mystical drama that was performed roughly 3000 BC amid the deserts and marshes of Mesopotamia. Side by side with the worship of the moon, Nana, there was a fear of the demon, Pazuzu, a genie so amply recreated in the book and the movie by Blotti, The Exorcist, and similarly recognized as the devil himself by the church. Pazuzu, the beast, was brought to life by Aleister Crowley, and the demon walked the earth once more, with publicity provided by H.P. Lovecraft. Ein Sof, huh? Well, you know enough about Kabbalah to know what that is, but how much money for that? I don't know. Shoot me an offer, I guess. Shoot me an offer first. Morning. All right, but like I said, that's where we're gonna end off the reading today, guys. We are on page XXVIII, so I'm gonna assume that means page 28, I believe. So we're on page 28 of the introduction. We're ending off where it starts for the devil, and we'll continue the rest of the reading tomorrow like usual, guys. Put back on my clothes and let's get home. Bad idea. Yeah, shoot me an offer, bro. Shoot me an offer. If it's enough money, I might take it up. I don't know. Ghostbusters. These are all the most... Are you people real, or are you guys like AI bots that just go to lives and make random comments? I really can't tell. Ghostbusters. I've been seeing... You seen the new one they made with women, dog? That was a couple years ago. I never saw it. I don't plan on it. And did anybody actually watch that movie, though? Ein Sof thought that was... I made God himself laugh. Shit. If y'all don't know what Ein Sof is, I would highly recommend you go look it up. That's real deep into Kabbalah. That's what the Kabbalists call the true name of God. Humans are worse than AI now. To be honest, we're just a piece of meat. Yeah, I guess it's both. I don't know. I guess it always comes down to the yin and yang, bro. It's like there's great humans and there's bad humans. And think about this, right? If humans didn't exist, AI would have never been created. So this is a quote by Terence McKenna, I believe. He says,
I'm sitting at my university having lunch, going through lives. Oh, I got you. I appreciate that, Todd. Well, whatever you're studying, I wish you the best, bro. I hope you get that college degree. Make sure you don't waste your time, though, bro. Because most people get a college, nowadays, you get a college degree in like women's studies. And then they get out of college, they're like, oh my God, I can't find a job. Because that's not a real degree, bro. Get a job in like fucking welding or something, I don't know. Yeah, but that's an interesting concept though, Ein. So think about it. If there weren't humans, oh yeah, I already said that. So Terence McKenna, he has a quote where he goes, human beings are just the reproductive organs of machines. Now that's a really interesting concept, because think about it. Or even you could replace human beings with living beings, I guess, because like monkeys are getting to the point where they're kind of making tools out of sticks and shit, right? But it's like, yeah, think about it. Machines would never exist without a living being to create it first. So it's like, is AI the next evolution? That's what they're trying to push with the new world order shit. They're like, no, transhumanism. You can transcend beyond your body. You can be both male and female. You can have a dick and a vagina, and you can transfer your consciousness from android to android. Like Peter Thiel, that motherfucker's really trying to do that shit, bro. But all right, guys, I'm about to get home. I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do for today. Probably gonna go take the bus down to Longmont, try to get a good job. But as I said, whoever's watching, thank you guys for joining the live as always. I'll be back around the same time. I'm actually an employee of 20 years. I got a business degree many years ago. Oh, okay. Do you work at the university is what you're saying, Todd? Is that what you mean? Here, I'll show, if you're, what do I think about the archons? Definitely real. I guess you'd have to be more specific with what you're asking me, Ein. So, I mean, the archons, I assume you're referring to Gnosticism, like Yaldabaoth and the archons. Which, man, damn, dude, you've been working at a university for 20 years and you got that degree 20 years ago, bro. How much money are you making? You making good money? I would imagine. But yeah, Ein, so if you're gonna have to be more specific with that question. Yeah, okay. So, like I stated before, I think Hermeticism, Hermes Trismegistus calls it the Prisca Theologia, the prime religion. So you know how all humans, let's assume the Tower of Babel story is true, correct? So let's assume that in the past all humans spoke one language, we were a united race, we had one religion. So when the Tower of Babel happened, not only did it split our languages, it split our religions. So I believe personally in the Prisca Theologia, the prime religion, which is that if you study all religions, you'll see the common lines connecting them all, and you'll see the truth within. Hey, what's up, Felix? Shout out Felix, that's my little nigga I used to train. Realest nigga on earth. Bending over in front of the Shmuley sign and shit, this guy. Nah, but so like I said, I believe that there's truth in all religions, bro. And so archons definitely exist. I think archon is just another name for demon. You can call them demons, you can call them archons, you can call them psychic vampires. You go to any religion, any mythology, they're gonna have a being that feeds on humans, that eats them, or that feeds on negative, like spiritual. This is just a common denominator in all things. So you can call them archons if you want. You can call them fallen angels, demons, archons, the evil ones if you just want to be generalistic. But yeah, evil and good exist in this world. I used to be, when I started on my spiritual path, you know, I'd love to be one of those niggas that's like, no, it's all perspective and it's yin and yang. And it's like, okay, but think about this, right? Because this is where the argument goes. So you're trying to tell me that if a guy rapes a child and murders it, well, no, because if you think about it, it's the balance of good and evil. And maybe he was a no. You're not gonna philosophize it. You're not gonna psychoanalyze it. Evil is evil and good is good. It's like, it's very like yin and yang is true. But yin and yang only goes so far, bro. Because when you get down to it, evil exists and good exists. And that is an undeniable fact. And if you think differently, then you're just simply wrong. Know what I mean? It is a good day for a joint, Phoenix. I highly doubt this nigga's still in here. But if you are in here, Phoenix, bro, you're always free to come visit me in Colorado, dog. Carlos Castaneda. Like the teachings of Don Juan. I've only read the teachings of Don Juan, bro. So if you have another recommendation by him, please give me one. All right, boys. Well, I don't want to leave in the middle of our conversation, but my shit's about to die. Yeah, man. Well, Ein Self, I hope you subscribe, bro. It was actually good talking to you. If you ever would like to join the live with me, bro, we could definitely go back and forth over live if you want to. But all right. Yeah, hell yeah, man. Bet. Thanks, bro. I'll probably be back tomorrow morning around the same time. If you want to chop it up more, I'd love to, dude. You can add me on Instagram if you want to chat, bro. All lowercase, no spaces. Elliot B702. ELLIOT B702. Bet. All right, I'll see you, dog. You guys have a good one, man. Discord. Give me 1 second. I do have a Discord. I don't use it often, but I don't got no more. Here, dog. I logged out of my Discords, bro. So I'll figure it out later today, dude. If you hop in the live tomorrow or another day. Yeah, my bad. It's because I exited out. I'll figure out my Discord, dude. And then if I see you in another, yeah, my bad. I know it's bugging, bro. All right, well, I'll see you around, bro. I'll definitely get that log into Discord for you so you can add me. Just comment on one of my videos. Just comment some bullshit on a random video so I can find your YouTube, and then I can just comment it back to you, all right? All right, bet, dog. All right, I'll see you, bro. Have a good rest of your day, Ein Self. Just comment some random shit. I'll find you.